Jeri Porter of George Mason's Patriot joins us right now. Jeri, congratulations. You had a very solid year last year. In fact, it was the Patriots' best year in the CAA, going back to the 05 and 06 campaign. How do you top that?
We've still got a lot of work to do.
Pressure's on now.
But we are really excited, about where we're at and where we're headed.
And you have 2 returning starters to your mix, but you also have players that were role players for you last year. And talk about how they're going to really change the chemistry of your team coming off the bench, Evelyn Lewis in particular.
Well, part of rebuilding is about, giving people time to mature and get comfortable with their role.
Right.
And what we're seeing right now is our first recruiting class is our junior class. They are completely comfortable and have finally settled into some leadership roles, some very vocal and verbal and leading by example in their work ethic and all that goes along with that.
Right.
So we're really excited. Evelyn, coming off of a year where she had sat the year before because of a transfer from Penn State.
Right.
And so she's really excited about, just getting that year under her belt and being ready now to step into a solid contribution for us this year.
Right.
Where are the strengths of this basketball team? Is it inside or is it on the perimeter?
I would say it's on the perimeter, but I do believe that for the first time this year in our tenure at Mason, that we're going to have a very solid inside game.
Would that
with
be
Evelyn.
Amber Easter primarily?
No, Amber's actually going to slide out. And,
wow.
Amber's going to slide
Nice.
out and play her true position, which we believe is a small forward out on the wing. Evelyn Lewis, Janae Picard, who injured herself in our exhibition game last year, 6'1" forward out of Philadelphia, is back. Joya Starrington, a transfer from the University of Richmond, is on the floor for us this year. And we got a couple of freshman post players, in Talisha Watts and Rachel McNair, that we think are going to add to our athleticism and our length and our ability to get some things done offensively in the paint.
In terms of running that offense for you, Talia Moten, discuss her leadership role for you this year.
Well, again, this is a fifth-year senior.
Right.
This is a young lady who actually is even as a fifth-year senior, 4 years into our system.
Right.
She is extremely comfortable, not only with our system, but also with her role as a leader this year. We started talking about it last year and just explained to her that this is your team. And they're going to go as you go. And so we've been really excited about watching her over the summer, the work ethic, and even as she's led by example and, getting folks into the gym and let's get some shots up and let's do some things on our own to kind of take ownership of this situation and understanding that we're going to kind of control our own destiny this year.
Right.
Jeri Porter of George Mason with us right now. Jeri, you seem fairly optimistic about what you've been able to accomplish and, more importantly, looking ahead. What concerns you about this season? Any major concerns?
I think the same things that would concern most of us is we want to stay healthy.
Right.
We want to keep the right kids on the floor. We want to make sure that the chemistry stays where it is. It's a long season, and we've got to maneuver the conditioning and making sure that we are better. In all honesty, I didn't think that we were better in February last year than we were in January, and that's a problem. And so one of the things that we as a staff have really talked about, we've got to find a way to peak in February and March instead of January.
Can you manipulate that by scheduling maybe some tougher games earlier on to get your team ready sooner?
Exactly. I think that's a good point. We've done that. We've tried to do that. We've actually been fortunate to stay somewhat regional. And so we've got the University of Maryland coming in this year. We've got GW coming in this year. We're traveling to UMBC, which is an America East school on the rise. Just UMass is coming in, and they're in the middle of a great rebuild with their staff there. So we feel like we're challenging ourselves a little bit more with that non-conference schedule, which in turn is going to help get us ready for that tough CAA schedule in January and February.
And speaking of the tough CAA schedule, 6
From the
teams.
fire into the frying pan here.
That's right. 6 teams made the postseason last year, and that's been 6 years strong for the CAA. So a lot going on in the CAA again this year.
Yeah, this league is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not an easy night, and the preseason, the order of finish, none of that means anything. There is not a night off in this league. We go every Thursday and every Sunday, and every night that it's going to be a contest. And so 6 very deserving teams last year. We would expect that plus more for this season.
Is the community buying into it? I mean, are people showing up more? I mean, certainly the men's program with the Final Four success from a few years ago, they've done a great job supporting the men. But how about the women?
It's getting there. You know, the one thing that I'm very mindful of is that you have to have a product that people want to watch.
Sure.
And so what we haven't done in the first 3 years at Mason is expect the large turnouts and the huge crowds when we're still in the process of giving them what they want.
Right.
And it has. It's actually, I think we've been somewhere even middle of the pack, maybe lower top half of the league in attendance. And so what that says to us, we're really encouraged, because what it says to us is that when the product is where it should be, and we're hoping that's this year,
right.
That the people will come out and they'll support us, because we've gotten really good support even
right.
for where we have been to this point. But we're continuing to move forward, and I think when we are ready to turn that corner and be really, really competitive, I think that the attendance will be the least of our concerns.
And how does playing the local teams like American, GW, and Maryland help you in that quest?
I think it helps quite a bit, because, you know, those are programs actually in the area that have had a lot of success.
Sure.
You know, obviously several local kids involved in those programs as well.
Right.
And so it brings people out. You know, it brings people from the area, from around the Beltway.
Right.
We're opening up on the 11th with American, and there'll be people that want to check out both teams
right.
coming in to watch, to watch that game in the Patriot Center. So we think the regional competition does help us from a standpoint of getting fans from both teams out. But you may be there to watch American and check out Mason and say, wow, they look pretty good. And any of that type of exposure that we can get, we think is really good.
You know, you talked about the overall toughness of this league. Who specifically? I mean, the obvious would be the Delaware and the VCU.
Sure.
You see anybody else sneaking up on that?
You know, I'm not sure that you say Hofstra sneaking up just based on where they were picked. I think everybody knows they're going to be pretty good. You know, the job that Coach Cooperdike did last year with Wilmington, and even with what they lost, it just kind of makes you feel like, you know, she's going to have them back where they need to be. You know, just everyone. You can think of so many teams. Sharon Baldwin-Tenner over at Georgia State. The minute she got hired, I thought, man, you know, here we go. Just so many good coaches who work so hard with recruiting. And you know their programs are continuing to move forward. And, you know, we want to keep up.
Right.
Jeri, good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Go to ESPN3 for the complete replay of the 2011 CAA Basketball Media Day Live.